Has released a new declassified video and images of the raid that killed ISIS chief Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. A 2-hour-long daring raid footage shows U.S. forces taking several arms fire from multiple locations as the helicopters approached the compound. The video from a drone also shows the commandos approaching Baghdadi's compound and the aerial strikes that were carried out by the U.S. F-15 fighter jets and the MQ-9 Reaper drones to blow up the site once it was cleared.
Here we see the object of the assault, the compound where Baghdadi was hiding. As I noted earlier, this isolated compound was in Idlib province in northwest Syria, approximately 4 miles from the Turkish border. It's an area that we have not traditionally operated in, and roughly a 1-hour helicopter flight from our staging base in Syria. We assessed that he was hiding in Idlib province to avoid the intense pressure that had been put on ISIS and other places in Syria. Once the assault force arrived at the compound, fighters from 2 locations in the vicinity of the compound began firing on U.S. aircraft participating in the assault. These individuals, who we don't assess were affiliated with Baghdadi, but nonetheless demonstrated hostile intent against U.S. forces, were killed by 2 airstrikes from supporting helicopters. These fighters opened fire on our aircraft, and what you see in the video is the actual response. With the assault force surrounding the compound, we repeatedly urged those inside to come out peacefully. So this is a video of the assault force actually closing up to the compound. Those who came out of the building were checked for weapons and explosives and moved away from the immediate area. U.S. forces detained and later released the non-combatants. The group was treated humanely at all times and included 11 children. I want to make it clear that despite the violent nature of the raid and the high-profile nature of this assault, every effort was made to avoid civilian casualties and to protect the children that we suspected would be at the compound. Observe our U.S. standoff munitions striking the compound. For those of you that may have seen before and after pictures of the compound, it looks pretty much like a parking lot with large potholes right now. You can see the way it looked before, and you can see the way it looks, the way it looked afterwards. So it's pretty clear the success of the standoff munitions that we employed to ensure that it would not be a shrine or otherwise memorable in any way. It's just another piece of ground. U.S. forces discovered Baghdadi hiding in a tunnel. When capture at the hands of U.S. forces was imminent, Baghdadi detonated a bomb he wore, killing himself and 2 young children that were with him. The number 2 is a change. We originally thought there were 3 children with him, and this is the number we originally reported up the chain of command. We now know the number to be 2 based on subsequent debriefing. A total of 6 ISIS members died on the objective. 4 were women, and there were 2 men, including Baghdadi. This is in addition to the 2 children killed by Baghdadi as he blew himself up. Let me emphasize again that 11 children were protected by the assault force, and 2 men on the objective were detained by the assault force, and they were extracted with the force. He crawled into a hole with 2 small children and blew himself up while his people stayed on the ground. So you can deduce what kind of person it is based on that activity. So that would be just my empirical observation of what he did. I'm not able to confirm anything else about his last seconds. I just can't confirm that one way or another.
Let's go across to other news now. Chile has cancelled 2 key summits that it was scheduled to host in the coming months. The country has called off the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit that was supposed to take place next month. Chile has also cancelled the COP25 Climate Summit that was scheduled for December. The decision was taken in the wake of nationwide protests. Chilean President Sebastián Piñera said that he has put the problems and the interest of his country first.
Nuestro gobierno, y con profundo dolor, porque este es un dolor para Chile, ha resuelto no realizar la cumbre de APEC, que estaba programada para el mes de noviembre, y tampoco la cumbre de la COP, que estaba programada para el mes de diciembre. Sentimos y lamentamos profundamente los problemas y los inconvenientes.
At least 20 world leaders were supposed to attend the APEC summit. There was also a key Trump-Xi meeting scheduled in its sidelines. The 2 leaders were expected to discuss a possible phase 1 of the trade deal. The White House has reacted to the cancellation of APEC. It said that the Trump administration wants a trade deal in quote-unquote same time frame despite the Chilean move. That brings up the question of where Trump and Xi will meet to sign the U.S.-China trade deal. Let's look at why Chile chose to cancel the key summits. The country has been shaken by month-long protests, riots and arson have left at least 18 people dead. Over 7,000 people have been arrested. The country's business has suffered losses amounting to $1.4 billion. The country's capital, Santiago, has seen massive protests. The city's public transport alone suffers a damage of nearly $400 million. It all began with protests over a 4% hike in transport fares. Soon it spread to the issues of inequality. The people of Chile are now calling for a constitutional change. The situation has now become so bad that the UN is sending a team to investigate allegations of human rights abuses. The future of Iraq's embattled Prime Minister Abdul Mahdi is in the hands of his one-time parliamentary backers. Iraqi Shia leaders Muqtada al-Sadr had, in fact, al-Amiri have agreed to work together to secure Iraqi interests and remove Mahdi after mass anti-government protests that have left more than 250 people dead. Muqtada al-Sadr warned that Iraq could turn into another Syria if the government does not resign. Al-Sadr, who leads the Iraqi parliament's largest bloc, has asked Abdul Mahdi to call an early election when the premier refused. He called on his main political rival, al-Amiri, to help oust the Iraqi prime minister. Iraq protests are about to complete a month. Yesterday, it was in fact the largest gathering in the capital since a second wave of demonstrations against Prime Minister Mahdi's government, and ruling elites resumed this Friday. The crowd consisted mostly of young men, many draped in Iraqi flags. Surrounding streets brimmed with cars, taxis, motorcycles and tuk-tuks as more people made their way in. Among the protesters was al-Sadr, who attempted to drive his way through jubilant demonstrators. Al-Sadr was seen waving at protesters from his vehicle. The latest protest in Baghdad took place after a Tuesday night of violence in Shiite holy city of Karbala, where reports suggest Iraqi security forces opened fire on protesters and killed at least 18 people. The report further said that at least 865 people were injured. Karbala's governor has denied anyone was killed, but there are reports that the local authorities had been offered to cover the deaths up. The UN representative in Iraq condemned the violence and called for dialogue. The death toll since the unrest started on October 1st is now at least 250 people.